Today's review focuses on the work of probably the most obscure writer we've yet tackled. Francois Lefebvre is credited by L.W. Curry to a certain Frank Styles Lefebvre, however I found no information on this name on the internet whatsoever. Whoever he was, his Hamet, A Tale of the Crusades, arranged from the memoirs of a warrior monk, was published in 1908. The book begins with an introduction narrating how the manuscript of the tale we are about to read was mysteriously placed in the hands of the author, or in this book's conceit the editor, quote-unquote, given to him by the exact mirror image of a man whom he had been seeing in his dreams for a very long time, the explanation for that not being provided. The story proper begins in 12th century Palestine with Ernst Baron de Harville, who had gone crusading along with his friend Hamet, the Mohammedan-born Christian warrior and bestest friend of Baron Ernst. The Baron, in between fighting off the hordes of Saladin, insists that Hamet is such a good friend he can totally go and marry the Baron's wife if he happens to die. He keeps insisting Hamet do so to a rather creepy degree. Meanwhile, back at the Baron's home, his wife, among other things, insists her maidservant go lie naked in bed with her for no real reason other than to titillate the audience. After Ernst ends up seemingly dying and Hamet is only saved thanks to the intervention of Zuleima, Saladin's wife, who had ended up meeting him and Ernst previously, Hamet travels back to Europe while Saladin's wife Zuleima ends up going off with Maurice, Ernst's squire, becoming his wife instead, which as a pairing seemed rather out of nowhere and probably would have been more interesting to follow than the actual main characters. Hamet arrives at Ernst's castle under an assumed identity and, creeping through the premises, ends up sleeping with Ernst's wife while pretending to be Ernst, which only comes to light in the morning. And yet she doesn't kick him out, and then some time later we have a strange traveller arrive at the castle as well, and as you might have expected, it turns out to be Ernst under yet another fake identity, who somehow managed to survive but is now sworn to a bloody vengeance against Hamet because he ended up marrying Ernst's wife, just like Ernst had been telling him to do. What follows is Hamet and Ernst's now pregnant wife being thrown into an underground dungeon at his command in adjacent cells. Also, Ernst can torture them with their relative closeness. But Ernst ends up changing his mind after his wife has a swoon, but then a wicked bishop's evil daughter gets involved and proceeds to plot to try and poison Ernst's wife, only a few pages before the end of the book, and, well, the plot is honestly all over the place. It reminds me, in certain aspects of its structured introduction consisting of a strange manuscript delivered in supernatural means to Morgus the sorcerer. It's certainly a unique read, what with the medieval lesbianism, but I fear the overblown theatrics, such as chucking multiple people into underground dungeons at several points in the story, is a bit overdone and too melodramatic.